Good morning, grade 3, 4s, and 5s. Welcome to this week's lesson. We are going to review a couple of things, and then if you get your worksheet, we'll talk a little bit about that. Following that, if you have your ukuleles handy, we're going to do a little review on some of the chords. And finally, we're going to do a bit of rhythm with our story of Pilgrim's Progress. So if you could grab your sheets. Secondly, grab your ukulele. And thirdly, grab something as rhythm instruments. I handed out rhythm sticks. You could use 2 spoons, whatever you like. And when you're ready, you can continue with me. So let's start with our review. Last 2 weeks ago, we talked about this little fella. Yell out if you can remember what this is called. It's the sharp sign. It looks like a tic-tac-toe on a bit of an angle. And the sharp sign, when placed in front of a note, sharpens that note. And by that, we mean it makes the note go up to the very nearest note next to it. The very nearest note next to it. So the way we can remember what a sharp does and how it affects a note is think at the front of the classroom, that's where your pencil sharpener is. So you go up to the front of your classroom to sharpen the pencil. And remember, always the peephole will show through the line or the space that you are actually going to affect. So for instance, here is our staff. If I wanted, and I didn't make it treble or bass clef because we're just really talking about the lines. Remember, 5 lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines make 4 spaces. Okay, so if I wanted to affect, for instance, this second line by the sharp, I would put my sharp sign up and I would have to make sure that my peephole is showing through the second line. Or say I wanted to do the 4th space, space 1, 2, 3, 4. Then my peephole would have to have that space in the center of it. And that's the way we are able to identify which note is being affected by the sharp sign. Now today, if you have your worksheet, we are going to talk about the flat sign, which incidentally looks like a B that's been flattened, kind of squished. So when we're thinking of flat signs, think of rather than going up, sharpening up, we're flattening down. So when this is put in front of a note, think of how you step down. You flatten down, okay? It goes down to the nearest note. Stepping down, flattening down. If you want to flatten a box, you step on it, flatten it down. Now the same principle is true. Here's your big peephole, and whatever's showing through the peephole is the note that is going to be affected by the flat sign. So let's pull our staff up. 5 lines, 4 spaces. If I wanted to affect the note in the second space, I would put my flat sign, and there you go. Now my flat's kind of big. It really should just take up the middle space, but the majority of the peephole is in the second space. Say I wanted to affect line 1, 2, 3, 4th line. Then I'd bring it up and I'd have my peephole showing through the 4th line. So the same principle is the same between the two. The sharp peephole or the flat peephole represents which note is affected, whether the note goes up, sharpens up the nearest note, or whether the note flattens, go down to the nearest note. So if you can take your worksheet today, all you simply have to do is fill in the 4 boxes of the flat signs. Just draw some flat signs. Then write all the names on the staff, as we did before when we did sharp signs, and then figure out what the note that has the arrow down is and how it's affected. All right. So for instance, the first one, this first note's F. G, A, B. Well, then I go down to that note. So I flatten down. So it would be B flat and so on. Okay. And then at the last part here, put flat signs in front. Remember, the peephole has to be right beside the note. So the note through the line or the space, the peephole should be showing the same line or space. So have some fun with that. Hopefully that's not too difficult to work on this week, the flat sign. All right, now, if you have your ukuleles ready, I'm just going to tilt my screen a little bit so you get a better view of my ukulele here this morning. And we are just going to review the 4 chords we did. Remember, we're doing the cheater E, just because when we do the real full E, it's a little challenging with the fingering and we need to practice a little bit more stretching, okay? You can pull out your music sheets. On the first sheet is the D chord we need, the A chord, and the E chord. Remember, we're just doing those 3 here. We're not going to worry about stretching for that one today. And the F sharp minor chord that looks tough but is easy, right? It looks like it'd be tough, but it's actually not tough at all. All right, so we are going to do this chord progression, same one we did before. We're going to do the A chord, then the F sharp minor chord, then we're going to do the D, and then we're just going to slip over and do the E sharp, the E major. Now, if we were doing it properly, we'd have to have our second finger way back here and then the 3 on top. But for now, well, we're getting more familiar with these, and these are actually the 4 chords that are part of our piece of music cooperation hop, okay? So what I want you to do today is to take each chord and just strum it. Remember, we did this already. Remember, I prefer you use your second finger. It's not wrong to use your thumb, but I kind of like to leave our thumb for chord picking. So this is the A, 2, 3, 4. Can you do that? 1, 2, 3, 4. Then the F sharp minor looks tough, but it's very easy. All you do is go from the A, put this finger down underneath. Let me hear you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then the D is the stack, everything in the second fret stacked on top. Good, do that 4 times. And then the cheater E, all you're going to do is slip all 3 of those fingers over to the 4th fret. Yeah, and we're going to kind of avoid that bottom string right now because that's the one that we're actually not playing in the cheater, okay? So remember, it sounds like doop, doo-wop, do the cooperation hop, which is the first part of our piece of music, okay? So we're going through those chords and getting smoother and smoother. And remember, I had it held up really high, which is a little tricky. Really, it should be much lower, and then you get a much nicer shape as opposed to up here. So remember, it's down here, and it's not like a table. It just stays flat against us. So work on those 4 chords also, okay? Now, the last thing I wanted to do today, and I'm just going to shift a little bit here, is how many of you remember our story that we started on? I can see we have a little bit of a shine on this, but I wanted to be able to see these rhythms, okay? So if you have your rhythm sticks or something available, I have a couple of rulers you could use. I have a couple of rhythm sticks you could use. Remember, it's City of Destruction, which is where Christian Pilgrim is coming from. Pilgrim, quarter note. Then Evangelist was 4 quarter notes. Evangelist. And then Celestial City, 8th notes, half note, 8th note. Now I'm only going to introduce one more rhythm pattern because we're going to talk about today about the gate of decision, okay? And sorry, we're trying to place this in front. I'm just going to hold this up for a second. Gate of decision. So the gate of decision is quarter note, 8th note, quarter, quarter. Gate of decision, okay? So that's the last one that will be added to today. So get your sticks and we'll do a quick review. Get ready to review with me. So we're talking about Pilgrim. Pilgrim has left from the City of Destruction and he has met up with Evangelist, who's told him how he can get to the Celestial City. But he still has on his back this enormous burden that is causing him a great deal of suffering. So how does he go about getting rid of this? Well, this is where evangelist had said, if you look way over there, you can see very, very bright lights. And there it is, the celestial city. And so Pilgrim listens to evangelist. But Pilgrim has a terrible problem with this enormous burden on his back. And at this point, Evangelist says, you can get rid of this burden, but before you can continue, you must go through the, and this is our new rhythm, quarter, eighth note, quarter, quarter. The gate of decision. Try that. Quarter, eighth note, quarter, quarter. Now, I'll have to put that one back down as we continue. And so, Pilgrim walks up. Well, there it is. And he reads on the top of it, says, knock and it shall be opened unto you. Evangelist had asked him, do you believe? Do you truly believe? And Pilgrim said, yes, I believe and I want to get rid of my burden. And remember, they read from the Bible that all people could have their burden, their sins taken away if they asked for forgiveness. And now it was time for Pilgrim to go through the gate of decision. And so, looking one more time back at the city of destruction, and looking with his eyes cleared of all the tears towards the celestial city, Pilgrim goes up. And he reaches up with his knuckle and he knocks on the door. And all of a sudden, just as about he's to do another knock, somebody reaches in and grabs his arm and pulls him through the gate of decision. And next time we're together, we'll add some more rhythm patterns and find out what happens to Pilgrim. Okay, enjoy the rest of your day. I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.